Honor has planted their flag firmly in flagship territory with this, the Honor Magic 5 Pro. This retails for $950 here in the UK and is available in two colors, black and meadow green. But what has Honor done to tempt customers from other well-known brands such as Samsung, Apple and Google? And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video, but first, let's get this out of the box. Because here is the first area where Honor one-ups their adversaries. It is in regards to power and speed of power delivery. The inclusion of the power brick in the box is the first win, and it is capable of faster power delivery than all of the other phones are that I mentioned in the intro. The Honor Magic 5 Pro charges at 66 watts, and it also charges faster than all of the other phones wirelessly too, at 50 watts. That is incredible when it comes to wireless charging speeds, but the icing on the cake for the Honor is the fact that it has the biggest battery of all the phones I mentioned at 5,100 milliamp hours, and that's bigger than most popular smartphones today. Well, you know, speed and power make the world go round, and there's no point in having all that power if the vehicle isn't equipped to use it. But the Honor Magic 5 Pro is, and it is equipped with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. That's this year's flagship, and it really doesn't get that much faster than this. But what makes this phone even faster is the type of memory that Honor have used. The storage is UFS 4.0. The RAM is LPDDR5X. That's the latest and greatest and fastest memory available to smartphone manufacturers today. And this might not mean much to you right now, but maybe it will in the future. The antenna array on the Magic 5 Pro and the X70 modem as part of the SoC from Qualcomm have been optimized to receive Wi-Fi 7. So now let's take a look at the bigger picture, the display on the Honor Magic 5 Pro, and it does have a world's first feature, but it's probably not what you think. And we'll come back to that in a moment. So when it comes to the display, first off, it's worth noting that DxOMark has given this their #1 smartphone display spot in their current rankings. And if you're unfamiliar with DxOMark, all you need to know is that they specialize in doing their own third-party scientific benchmarks on cameras and smartphones and things like that, and they are quite well respected. The screen is slightly wider than other 6.8 1-inch smartphone displays, and it has an interesting resolution of 2848 by 1312. And this makes it slightly slimmer than the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the S23 Ultra, and just a little bit wider than the Pixel. And something that I really like about this screen is actually how it curves on all sides, including the top and bottom. And because that bottom edge is curved, it makes gesture navigation so much easier. And now that world's first feature that I mentioned is called pulse width modulation. It's an intelligent way of reducing the amount of flickering on the display that you don't really notice but can affect your eyes and cause eye fatigue and even eye strain in some extreme cases. And it is an LTPO AMOLED display, and it can automatically adjust the refresh rate between 120 and 1 Hz. So it is fantastically efficient, and if you own this phone and you ever feel that battery anxiety, you can cap the refresh rate at 90 Hz, which is still really fast, but will save power. And if you feel you can't trust DxOMark's ranking system, maybe this will put your mind at rest. The display on the Honor Magic 5 Pro has been IMAX enhanced and HDR10 Plus certified. It's also got 2 Rhineland blue light certification as well, so it's not going to burn your retinas despite the 1800 nits of peak brightness, which is on par with the Galaxy S23 Ultra. And I really do appreciate the circadian mode, which reduces the amount of blue light coming from the display so it doesn't affect your sleep. Other phones do have this, but because of the tech behind the screen, this screen should be better than most when it comes to that blue light reduction. And just out of interest, let me know what you think about DxOMark. Do you trust their ratings? Let me know in the comments. And there's just one more thing I want to talk about before we move away from the display. It is the audio quality. It goes hand in hand with a good display. If you have a good display and bad audio, that kind of sucks. But the Honor Magic 5 Pro doesn't suck. The audio isn't just good, it's better than good. Because instead of just using the earpiece as a speaker like most phones do, this phone has a dedicated speaker and speaker grill on the top edge, and it fires outwards in the same kind of manner as the lower speaker on the bottom edge. So in theory, you should have a more well-balanced and better audio separation when watching content on the device using the built-in speakers. And it's one thing for me to tell you that it sounds good, but I think it's better if you hear it for yourself. So now let's talk about the shooters, and there are a few things that I immediately appreciate here in the camera department. Number one, I don't mind the pill cutout in the display for the 12 megapixel selfie camera, because I personally feel that the trade-off for the little bit of space in the top left corner of the display is worth it for a proper 3D face unlock. It's far more secure than 2D face unlock. And I do believe this is one of the only Androids using this tech today, and let me know in the comments if you know of any others. And also, the same 3D scanning tech can be utilized for better portrait selfies because it has the ability to actually scan the depth and distance better around you. And it also opens the door to air gestures that can be very handy when cooking or if your hands are wet. And the camera module on the back is pretty sweet. It actually adds as a nice finger rest when holding the phone, and I know that's something that MKBHD appreciates, and I don't know why, I just can't stop running my finger around the edge of it. It's just got this really nice groove to it, and I must apologize for all the cuts and scrapes on my hands. I recently got a new puppy, well, at least I think she's a puppy, either that or a velociraptor. I'm still not sure. And what we have here is a 50, 50 and 50 megapixel camera setup. They call this the Star Wheel triple camera design, and it's also referred to as the Eye of Muse design sometimes on the website, which was apparently inspired by the psychedelic inspired Gaudi and the black hole in the center of the Milky Way, which appears to have 3 dots in it. And I'm not going to go too in depth in the cameras in this particular video because I am planning a What Gear style camera comparison for you guys. Let me know what phone you'd like to see this compared to, or what phones, and I'll do my best to make that for you guys. Anyway, for now, here are some camera samples for you. The primary is a 23mm equivalent and uses a huge 1/1.2 inch sensor, so you get excellent natural shallow depth of field from this phone even in regular photo mode. And of course, the blurry background effect is improved even more when you use the portrait mode or even the aperture mode. And some of the great features on the camera are the fast focus speeds and focus tracking and impressive shutter speeds, which makes this perfect for capturing fast moving objects or pets, for example. And Honor calls this the millisecond falcon capture, probably because it's incredibly hard to take photos of birds if you don't have fast shutter speeds. And there's a mode specifically for capturing photos of people in midair, using AI to figure out when you're actually in the air. And if somebody had this phone a couple of weeks ago when I got thrown out of that building in the Strand, that could have been a funny picture. And when it comes to video, the primary camera is capable of 10-bit 4K 60 frames per second in log format, which is a very flat color profile which you can color grade yourself on a computer or on an app. But if you don't want to do that and you still want that cinema grade footage, you can use the movie LUTs, and there's a bunch of them available here that mimic pro grade cameras. And this is what Honor call the movie master mode with IMAX enhanced. And let's not forget the 50 megapixel ultra wide, which doubles up as the macro lens. It's impressed me so far, and the details are some of the best that I've seen from a macro camera this year. And the ultra wide is pretty stellar too. And then we have the periscope zoom, and another world's first from Honor. The Honor Magic 5 Pro uses Sony's IMX 858 50 megapixel sensor. This shooter can zoom optically from 3.5 to 10x, and all the way up digitally to 100x. So if you find yourself in the right location, you might be able to see Fat Joe's mansion in the hills. And if you're wondering where it is, it's all the way up. At least that's what I heard. And I have noticed even at the maximum range, it's got really good stabilization. And this is likely down to the hybrid EIS and OIS stabilization features. So that's electronic and optical stabilization, all part of the periscope camera. But the reality is you're not going to capture an Instagram worthy picture at 100x. From my tests so far, pictures seem pretty good up to 20x and usable. After that, it gets a bit hazy, but I'm sure there's some use cases for the 100x. Let me know what you would use it for. I'm genuinely interested to know. And you know, this long distance visionary tech got me thinking. Right now, we can walk around with 100x or even 200x camera zooms in our pockets. And there's even camera sensors and telescopes out there that can see the center of the Milky Way. Technology is just so good right now, and how much better can it get maybe even 10 years from now? What do you think we'll be able to see? Maybe we can figure out what those 3 dots are in the middle of that black hole. Anyway, returning back to Earth and the Honor Magic 5 Pro, this phone isn't pretending to be an Apple or a Galaxy or a Pixel. It is distinctly an Honor, and it has been an honor to use it. And on that note, let's end this with a quote from Socrates. And he said, "The greatest way to live with honor is to be who we pretend to be." So think carefully about that. And on that note, if you want to see what the oldest pub in Britain looks like, I tested out the cameras on the Honor Magic Versus and took some photos there. So that thumbnail's on screen right now. And I can't tell you the name of the pub because it might come across as too explicit for YouTube. And if you check out that other video, I'll see you in the next one. Don't be late.